Tensions across the Middle East are escalating rapidly as the confrontation between Iran and the United States-Israel alliance spreads across the Gulf region. The situation intensified after U.S. forces launched major strikes on Iran's Kharg Island, a critical oil export hub responsible for handling the vast majority of Iran's crude shipments. The strikes triggered an immediate reaction from Iran's powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which warned that American military facilities and strategic locations in Gulf states could become targets if the conflict continues to escalate. According to Iranian statements reported by regional media, the IRC accused Washington of using neighboring countries as staging grounds for attacks against Iran and warned that retaliation would follow. It is our legitimate right to defend our national sovereignty and territory by hitting the origin of the American enemy missiles and shipping ports, docks, and hideouts of American soldiers sheltered in some cities in the way, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said in a statement. The warning was accompanied by a message directed toward civilians living near sensitive facilities. Iranian officials urged people living close to ports, docks, and areas hosting U.S. military forces to avoid those locations because they could become targets during future strikes. Residents should evacuate ports, docks, and U.S. military areas to avoid being harmed, the statement added. The remarks sent shockwaves through the Gulf region, where U.S. military infrastructure operates alongside major commercial ports and densely populated urban centers. The warning came shortly after the United States carried out a major bombing campaign against military targets on Kharg Island. The island lies roughly 30 kilometers off Iran's southern coast in the Persian Gulf and serves as the backbone of Iran's oil export system. More than 90% of the country's crude shipments are handled through terminals located there. The attack was widely described as one of the most significant strikes of the conflict so far. U.S. officials said the operation targeted military installations linked to Iran's regional operations while avoiding direct damage to the oil export infrastructure. The strike was publicly confirmed by the U.S. president, who stated that American forces had destroyed numerous Iranian military targets during the operation. The action was framed as a warning to Tehran amid growing tensions over shipping routes and security in the Persian Gulf. Iran responded swiftly. Within hours of the strike, waves of missiles and drones began appearing across the skies of several Gulf states, triggering air defense systems across the region. The retaliatory attacks quickly expanded beyond a single country, hitting multiple U.S. allies across the Middle East. Saudi Arabia was among the first to experience a large-scale barrage. According to Saudi officials, air defense systems intercepted an extraordinary number of drones in a short period of time. Authorities said dozens of unmanned aerial vehicles were detected approaching key areas of the kingdom. Saudi Arabia's defense ministry confirmed that roughly 50 drones were intercepted within just a few hours during one wave of attacks. Air defense batteries were activated across several regions as radar systems detected the incoming threats. Military officials later confirmed that the drones were destroyed before reaching their intended targets. The interceptions took place over both eastern and central parts of the kingdom. Defense officials said the drones were neutralized mid-air before they could strike sensitive locations. The scale of the attack marked a sharp escalation in the conflict. Saudi Arabia has faced drone and missile attacks in the past, particularly during earlier regional tensions, but officials said the volume of drones seen during this wave was significantly higher than usual. Several of the drones were reportedly heading toward highly strategic locations. Among the areas under threat was the diplomatic quarter in Riyadh, where many foreign embassies are located. Another set of drones appeared to be heading toward the Sheba oil field, one of Saudi Arabia's most important energy facilities. The field lies deep in the desert near the United Arab Emirates border and plays a crucial role in the kingdom's oil production. If such facilities were successfully hit, the consequences could ripple through global energy markets. Saudi Arabia was not the only country facing Iranian strikes. Further north, Kuwait also reported drone activity after several hostile aircraft breached the country's northern airspace early in the morning. Kuwait's defense ministry said air defense systems successfully intercepted multiple drones before they could reach their targets. However, in a separate incident, one drone reportedly struck a residential building in the southern part of the country. The strike injured at least 2 people and caused damage to nearby structures. The attack underscored the growing danger facing civilian areas as the conflict expands. Kuwait's strategic importance stems partly from the presence of American military forces stationed there. The country hosts several U.S. facilities, including bases used for logistical operations in the region. Because of that presence, Kuwait has increasingly become a focal point in the widening confrontation. Another Gulf state drawn into the conflict is Bahrain. The island kingdom hosts the headquarters of the United States Navy's Fifth Fleet, making it one of Washington's most critical naval command centers in the Middle East. Authorities in Bahrain urged residents in several areas to remain indoors after a fire broke out in the Muharraq Governorate. Officials said the blaze was linked to an Iranian attack targeting fuel storage facilities. Thick smoke was seen rising into the sky as emergency crews worked to contain the fire. Amid the rising tensions, Bahrain's Ministry of Interior also announced the arrest of 4 citizens accused of conducting espionage activities on behalf of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Investigators said one of the suspects had used high-resolution photography equipment to record coordinates and images of critical infrastructure across the country. According to authorities, the information was transmitted through encrypted communication software to contacts connected to the Iraqi. The arrests highlighted fears that the conflict may extend beyond military attacks into covert intelligence operations across the region. Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates has faced repeated aerial threats as Iranian missiles and drones continue to target U.S. allies across the Gulf. Air defense systems in the way have been activated frequently in recent days to intercept incoming threats. Loud explosions have been heard across several cities as defense systems engage incoming projectiles. Dubai, the world's largest and most internationally recognized city, has experienced several incidents connected to intercepted drones. Witnesses reported hearing blasts while thick smoke rose over parts of the city's skyline. In one case, authorities confirmed that an incoming projectile had been intercepted by air defense systems. However, fragments from the destroyed object fell onto a building, causing minor damage. Officials confirmed that no injuries were reported in that incident. Smoke could be seen drifting across parts of the city, including areas near the iconic Burj Al Arab Hotel. Emergency teams quickly responded to the scene and brought the situation under control. Despite the limited damage, the incident highlighted how drone warfare can impact densely populated cities, even when interception systems successfully destroy incoming weapons. A separate incident occurred in Dubai's Creek Harbor district when a drone fell onto a residential building. The impact sparked a fire that forced residents to evacuate the building while emergency crews worked to contain the flames. Authorities later confirmed that no casualties were reported in the incident. Another drone-related event occurred earlier in the week in the Al Bara area of Dubai. Residents reported hearing explosions while small clouds of smoke appeared above residential neighborhoods. Officials described the situation as a minor drone incident, but confirmed that security forces had responded immediately. Across the UAE, authorities have repeatedly urged residents to remain calm while air defense forces continue monitoring the skies for potential threats. According to UAE defense officials, the country's air defense network has intercepted large numbers of missiles and drones since the conflict began. In one recent wave alone, defense systems engaged multiple ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and dozens of drones launched from Iranian territory. Overall, the numbers illustrate the scale of the ongoing aerial confrontation. UAE authorities say that since the beginning of the war, their defense systems have intercepted hundreds of ballistic missiles and well over 1,000 drones fired from Iran. Although most of the weapons have been intercepted before reaching their targets, falling debris from destroyed missiles and drones has caused fires and damage in several locations. These incidents have raised concerns about the vulnerability of major urban centers in the Gulf region. Iran's attacks have often focused on strategic targets such as oil infrastructure, military bases, and diplomatic compounds. Energy facilities have been a particular focus because of their importance to the global economy. The Gulf region produces a large share of the world's oil supply, and disruptions to energy infrastructure could have major consequences for global markets. In recent days, drone attacks have triggered fires and disruptions at several energy facilities across the region, highlighting the risks posed by the escalating conflict. The confrontation has also drawn attention to the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical maritime choke points. A significant percentage of global oil shipments passes through the narrow waterway each day. Any disruption to shipping routes there could trigger widespread economic consequences far beyond the Middle East. For now, governments across the Gulf are focusing on defensive measures to protect their territory and infrastructure. Air defense systems remain on high alert across multiple countries, and military forces are closely monitoring the skies for additional threats. At the same time, diplomatic efforts are underway as international leaders attempt to prevent the crisis from spiraling into a broader regional war. But with both sides demonstrating their willingness to strike strategic targets, the situation remains highly volatile. What began as a military exchange between Iran and the United States-Israel alliance has now expanded into a multi-country confrontation involving key U.S. partners across the Gulf. The region now stands at a critical moment with the potential for further escalation hanging over the Middle East.